Let's talk about what it really means to be wealthy. Seriously, we all think we know the answer, but today we're going to tear down that common definition and rebuild it from the ground up. We're about to dive into the true architecture of what makes a life rich.
So let's just start right there with a simple question. What does being rich actually mean to you? Come on, really think about it. When you hear that word, what's the first image, or maybe the first number that pops into your head?
For a lot of us, let's be honest, the answer is a number. And when you're just starting out, maybe that number is something like $500,000. That feels like, I've made it money, right? The kind of cash that seems like it could solve just about every problem you have.
But then, a funny thing happens. Something totally predictable. As your income starts to grow, that target, it starts to look a little smaller. Suddenly, 500 grand isn't the finish line anymore. The real magic number? Well, that's $1 million.
And I bet you can guess what happens next. You hit that $1 million mark, and boom, the horizon just pushes out again. Now to be truly rich, that means 10 million. You see the pattern here? This constant shifting, it points to a huge fundamental problem with defining wealth by money alone.
And this leads us directly to what our source material calls the rich illusion. It's this core idea that our whole society's definition of being rich is, well, it's basically flawed. It's setting us up to play a game we can't actually win.
This illusion even has a name, and it gets right to the heart of the problem we're going to deconstruct today. It's the endless, exhausting cycle of chasing a moving target.
So here it is, the moving target problem. It's the simple but incredibly frustrating idea that your financial goal for being rich just keeps moving further and further away the closer you get to it. It basically turns the whole pursuit of wealth into this unwinnable chase. It's like being on a psychological treadmill you can never, ever get off of.
And what's so powerful about this slide is just how clearly it lays out the cycle. Look, when you're making 100 grand a year, $500,000 in the bank feels like total freedom. But once you're actually making $500,000, your perspective shifts, your lifestyle inflates a bit, and suddenly $1 million is the real target. And the point is, if this is your only way of measuring success, you never actually arrive. You're always just on your way to the next goalpost.
Okay, so if chasing a number is a trap, what's the alternative? This quote from our source material really marks the big pivot in our thinking. Let me tell you what actual wealth looks like, and none of it requires being rich. So let's do that. Let's explore that idea. We're going to build out the real definition of wealth, and we're going to break it down into 6 foundational pillars. And I want you to think of these not as some financial target, but as the true architecture for a rich life.
Okay, the very first pillar, the absolute bedrock, is health. It's as simple as this. Being able to wake up in the morning without pain, having energy, moving freely. It sounds so basic, right? But as the source points out, people will literally spend their entire fortunes trying to buy this back once it's gone. This is the foundation that everything else is built on.
And that physical foundation, that health, it directly supports pillar number 2, peace of mind. Can you actually sleep well at night? Are you free from that constant nagging stress or anxiety? This is a form of wealth that, honestly, money often fails to buy. In fact, sometimes the stress of chasing the money is the very thing that destroys your peace in the first place.
And a huge part of that peace of mind comes from our third pillar, which is time freedom. Now let's be clear, this doesn't mean you stop working or you sit on a beach all day. It just means you have control over your own schedule. Your day isn't completely owned by a job or a boss. You've got the flexibility to show up for the moments that really truly matter in life.
And of course, having that time is what lets you invest in the 4th pillar, relationships. And the distinction here is absolutely critical. We're talking about people who care about you, not about your wallet. We're talking about real, genuine connection with family and friends who are there for you when things get tough. That's a support system that no amount of money can ever replicate.
You know, those deep connections often fuel our 5th pillar, purpose. This is all about your work meaning something to you. It's that feeling that you're contributing to something bigger than yourself, that your life is having a positive impact. That provides a kind of deep, lasting satisfaction that a paycheck, by itself, can never, ever deliver.
And living a life with purpose almost always means you're building up our 6th and final pillar, skills and knowledge. These are the abilities, the wisdom, the things you learn that no one can ever take away from you. They build your confidence, they give you options, and they create a sense of mastery that just grows over time. This is a type of wealth that compounds inside of you.
So when you look at it, we've laid out two very different models of wealth, right? On one hand, you have the moving financial target. On the other, you have these 6 interconnected pillars of a rich life. And this brings us to a really important realization. It's your choice to make. You get to decide which one you're going to pursue.
Our source material really sums up this choice with a powerful and kind of gut-punching observation. It's something we've probably all seen in our own lives. I've seen rich people who are miserable, sick, paranoid, and lonely. And I've seen regular people who are genuinely happy. So that brings us to the final, and really the most important question of all. As you go out and build your own life, as you define your own success, you have to decide what you're really chasing. So, which one would you choose?